Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is, yes, Eddie Marcus again. Started this day, the day before the 4th of July, and this is my first post for today. I think yesterday I did 8, and I don't mean to bore you or to wear you out, but love keeps flowing. And so every post I present for you is an expression of the love that I have received in relationship to you. And that power of love that has to come through me. And so it is what it is. Today, that love is continuing. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I want you to know that I stand here before you as a representation of God. And what I mean by that is you are loved. You are loved by your Creator. You are loved by your Maker. And I know sometimes you've gone through so much stuff in your life, and you know so much stuff that others have experienced. So oftentimes you wonder, is there a God? And sometimes you doubt it so much until you probably don't want to hear anybody talk about God. And I understand that. You see, I understand that God is an action God. And one of the reasons that I stand before you today is because my experience is of a God that is only of words. But there's something that separated me from the God of words to the God of action. That God acted in my life. And because of that, I find myself constantly talking to you about an action God. I talk about people who represent God, who talk about God. Show that in a physical representation so that what they say about God, the goodness that they say about God, you can see it, you receive it based upon the actions that they generate. And so here I am today, speaking to you in line with that. Today I would like to say to you, my subject is Trump, your president, Trump and hell versus me and paradise. I don't have to say too much about Trump for those of you who can't stand him. You know what he is, you know what he represents, and you don't really want to have anything to do with him. You can't actually say that you have a solution or an alternative except Democrats. And you don't really feel that Democrat is a great extension forward, but it's better than Trump. I'm not a Democrat. I'm me. And I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the difference between Trump and me is, I tell you, it's really something great. Now, let me just say something about Trump for a minute to let you know what I'm dealing with. Trump is one that has tricked you. But you were not just tricked by Trump. All of us who have not been touched by God in such a way that we have been awakened are still tricked. Those who are following Trump are still tricked. Those who support Trump are still tricked. Those who are relying on Democrats to be revived, they're tricked. They are just as tricked as people who thought that John Kelly was going to protect them from Trump. Couldn't do it. Those who thought Mullen was going to protect them from Trump hasn't done it. And those who thought that the law, the system, would protect them from Trump hasn't done it. And tomorrow, President Trump plans to have a military parade. The 4th of July is something that none of us have experienced while here in America. But it represents something to Trump. It represents the kind of stuff that happens in North Korea with a dictator, with an authoritarian government. It represents some of the same kinds of things that might happen in Russia, in China, and places like that, where people are abused and taken advantage of, but actually killed. That's just that authoritarian response to any opposition. And so Trump wants to represent that, replicate that. And so this military parade with those tanks and things that he planned to have going down the streets of Washington, D.C., and those jets that he planned to have flying across the sky, while he stands on some steps or some podium somewhere, proclaiming himself the greatest president that the United States has ever had. He's done more in 2 years than any president in history. And by the time his term is up and getting another term for the second, that everybody in this nation will appreciate him. What he is saying, that all of the lies that you know he tells, all of the tricks that he's played, all of the deception that has been made obvious to you, would have been normalized, and you will accept him. But what the military parade that he plans to have tomorrow represents, it represents authority. It represents evil. It represents death. While others have stayed away from it, believing that there was something else other, but just as important, he is saying, in line with the dictators who don't care about anyone but themselves, that he represents that as well. And it's a symbol not only to them, it's a symbol to the American people that he has control over all things, and that he can call it to force at his will, and it will demonstrate his power over you. That's what this parade represents tomorrow, the 4th of July, if it goes through. Now, there might be something miraculous that will occur, maybe like rain, thunder, and lightning, that will take away from what he plans to express. However, that's the Trump, and that represents evil, because it does not represent life. It represents the same things that's happening at the border, doing those things to those people, sending them back to the hell that they came from, not having any understanding to receive them. That's all hell. But ladies and gentlemen, I come to you from a different perspective. I'm not running to be your president. I am the messenger, and my whole purpose is paradise. Paradise. The elimination of lies and cheating and stealing and terror and killing and war. The elimination of poverty. The elimination of bigotry and hatred and racism. And the way to do that, ladies and gentlemen, is for the experience that you have to change. And it represents peace, represents freedom, prosperity, and joy in life, and the fulfillment of all your dreams. Now, there is a way for that to happen. It just as your body is held together by the system that's been established within, all working together for the common good of your healthy self. There's a way for these things to happen. And it is to happen by you, all of you who need these resources for your survival, to engage yourselves in the process. It is my desire to have every person who is old enough and got recognize their dream, what it is that they want to contribute in this life, is to have the opportunity to engage yourselves in that career, a career of your own choosing, that will permit you to be who you are, to know who you are, and express yourself in such a way that it will give you your greatest joy. It might be playing sports. It might be the arts, music, and writing. It might have something to do with teaching and medicine and education and all of those different things. But it will allow you to participate in the creation of those services that are essential for your survival, like food and clothing and shelter and education and health care. But done in such an abundance, ladies and gentlemen, that what you have been told would be sort of like socialism, and it would impose an extraordinary amount of time for you to get these resources, and they use that as a justification for private enterprise. All of that stuff is a lie. The truth of the matter is that there will be enough people engaged in these different areas, say healthcare, such that whatever your needs are, there will be professions that they are in an abundance there, so that you don't have to wait. You just go and sign up or go in to those particular professions, expertise and be treated for whatever it is. Not only that, the resources, all of the resources will be available to you. They will have opportunities for research and development to make sure that there's nothing that's held back that would allow them to come up with cures for those incurable diseases, those sicknesses that will take your life away. People talking about we're going to cure cancer. They don't have any idea or vision about that because they are divided. And whatever they try to do, someone is going to try to prevent it from happening for whatever reason. But the vision that I share with you, ladies and gentlemen, is not a divisive thing. It's about coming together, a unity, with everybody recognizing that there is no greater joy than having this opportunity to be free, to be you. And that in so doing, you play a part in the development of all of these different resources that you need. And you don't have to worry about that. You just do yours because you love it, and the finished product will be an abundance of all these things. And it's not just limited to those things that are essential for survival. It'll be extended to all of those other sources that you care about: transportation, infrastructure, travel, vacation, all of those other things. We will recognize that money has been nothing but a tool to divide us. Money has been a tool to say some have and some don't, which creates its own problems. But since you don't need money, all you're doing, because the resources that are being used are given to you by a power that you cannot see, the power you cannot touch, cannot feel. And those resources are embedded in the earth, on the earth, above the earth. Some of them are seen and some of them are not seen. And yet the evidence of their existence is all around us. And what we're going to have to do, ladies and gentlemen, in considering this, there are going to have to be some changes made. The system as we understand it to be, so capitalistic, democracy, well, those things that work will continue to be used. But that which does not work must be changed. And what I'm basically saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, that we're not trying this, there's no concept of trying to redistribute wealth. People who consider themselves the elitists, who got a certain standard of life, this ambition, this dream, this aspiration has nothing about bringing them down. What it is about is picking those up that can't do that today. We want to make sure that if it's good enough for the gander, it's good enough for the goose. And I, my friends, have been set aside to be an instrument of that voice. It is an instrument of that voice. I am not any better than any of you. The only thing that I can say that is empowered here is that the power that made you loves you. And that power wants you to know that you are loved. And so I am an individual who have the heart, who have compassion. I don't know where it comes from, but it's there nevertheless. And your pain and your suffering is God's pain and God's suffering. And I know that because I feel the pain. I feel the suffering. But God wants to do something about it. And I know God wants to do something about it. And I want to do something about it because I know you want something to be done about it. You're just tired of people lying and tricking you, saying they're going to do it. And at the end of the day, it's not done. So what I'm saying basically, ladies and gentlemen, stop putting your faith in others. Put your faith in you and God. Because in order for us to be able to do the things that I'm talking about here today, there are going to be some major changes made. Sometimes in some things the Constitution will have to be changed to accommodate what we're trying to say here. And don't look at the Constitution as unchangeable. My friend, it is changeable and it must be changed to accommodate where we're trying to go. Anything that would prevent us from doing that is in the Constitution, but that Constitution must be readjusted. And I want you to know that the only way it can be done, not by politicians fighting and trying to maintain their status quo, it's by you, the people, who are being fed up. Those of you who are up there, who got some compassion for those that are low. Now you know you're not threatened by their dreams and aspirations. In fact, their rising up takes us all higher. And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about a new life. We're talking about a new dream. And rather than focus on Donald Trump and his aspirations to be a killer, no, we're going to focus on being alive and giving life and making it available not just to we who are here in America, but hold it up as a symbol of light, that those who are running from darkness, those who are running from pain and suffering, can look over in America and say there's something unique going on in America. There's something that's great going on in America, but you don't have to consider running away through death situations like traveling across oceans on an inner tube, traveling across big bodies of water on a piece of wood, trying to get to your freedom while people are trying to exploit you, rob you, steal you, rape you, all of that which is a sign of the evilness of the world. The kind of stuff that Trump says he hates and yet at the same time he embraces. You see, that's another trick. So what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is put the power in you. I tell you that this is not my ability. I'm just telling you that the power, God, is available to all of us. And if you receive that power in yourself, it will give you the authority to stand up and do that which needs to be done. And so all of us standing up together with love in our hearts, doing what needs to be done is the thing that would carry us through. Not me, us. And this is about us. I want you to know that this paradise, that basically means utilizing the resources of the earth for the betterment of humankind. Not destruction, not pain and suffering, but life and its abundance. So I'm asking you, ladies and gentlemen, to consider the message that I'm sharing with you today. But don't just consider it. I want you to talk about it. Talk about it. Be glad about it. Now, I am not new at this. I have at several times sought after the office of President of the United States. When Jesse Jackson and Dukakis was running, I was campaigning at the same time as an independent. I wasn't asking the Democrats or the Republicans to support me. I was asking you, the people, and any Republican or Democrat who could feel the love of God to join in with us. Well, I was totally ignored, and I did it 3 times. Why? Because God wasn't giving up on you. Not only that, I ran for governor of the state of Minnesota once. The same things that I'm sharing with you now. But the people, you couldn't hear it. No one could hear it. I even sought after to be United States Senator from the state of Minnesota twice. And you still couldn't hear it. So what God and your actions was basically saying is that you were so programmed and you were so dead that you could not hear the love. You could not see what was being said to you. And because you had also been taught that as a black man, you got to get back. What can he do? Oh, you thought about the guy has no money. What could he do? But you see now what people do with money. People who don't even have money will lie about the money. That's what your president did. He might have some, but he made you think that he had more than what he has. And he promised you something that he has failed to deliver. He didn't make you think he was going to hate others. He didn't make you think, except some. He made you think he was going to hate others who have brown skin. He called them some strange names that I'm not going to repeat. But that is all a part of the process of division and conquering and killing you. So what I speak to you about, I want you to understand, it's all about love. It's all about compassion. It's all about empathy. And you, my friends, must recognize that that power is in you, coming from God, to be made known. You say you don't want to hear people talk to you about God, and I understand why. But at the same time, if you allow that spirit to be in you, then don't just talk, walk. Because if you just talk, you'll be just like everything else you've been putting down. But if you walk, then people will see. Not only we here in Minnesota, we here in the United States of America, the rest of North America, Central America, South America, everything on earth can see the glory of God manifest, not in miracles from an unseen, but miracles through you. And it all will happen without any need for money. Give you an example. Gold, silver, and those other jewels, what we call jewels, they're not money. They're just resources that were made for, I don't know, all kinds of things, I'm sure. But it was never made for money. But it's been used for that by blind people, by people who are not alive. So I'm asking you, ladies and gentlemen, to consider what I've said with you. Get together, talk about it, then spread the news throughout your communities, throughout your cities, everywhere. I want that news spread, that there's going to be a change and you are involved in making that change. I want you to respect your authorities. Go to your city powers and let them know where you're at. And they can join with you if they desire. And with whether they do or don't, spread it out. All of those cities that have been going and making these moves, go to the states, all over the nation. Go to the states and share with them the message that there's going to be a change because you desire it, you want it, you need it, and now you're demanding it. And if they go along with it and do the best they can, it's not going to be sufficient enough. That all of the states go together to the federal level and let them know that there's going to be a miraculous change. It's not about politics. It's not about Republicans. It's not about Democrats. It's about you, the people, putting your faith not in men, but putting your faith in God. And you're going to assure that because God is living in you, and you are not going to have it any other way. And when you get through with this, ladies and gentlemen, we would have squashed Trump and hell, and we would have built you and paradise. I want to thank you so very much for giving me this your time. Truly, it has been a joy. It's been a long journey, ladies and gentlemen, but I have not forgotten and I haven't given up. And I'm standing here today counting on you to wake up so we can live, live, live. Until next time, this is Eddie Marcus saying goodbye.